There we are. Finally. What does the EU and Elizabeth Warren have in common? They're not so much love for Apple's App Store. Does 5G matter, and will it hamper Apple's sale of the iPhone 11? We're going to discuss a bunch of stuff on the show tonight. Want to guess what it is? Right here tonight on the Mac to the Future livecast. Go! Hey, we're back on. Yay. All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Guy Searle with the Mac to the Future Facebook page and Mac to the Future livecast. Go! And all kinds of other stuff like that. And I am so happy to be here tonight because we've got all kinds of stuff to talk about. And joining me this evening is a motley bunch of guys that you've seen many times before. So motley. First off, we're going to start off with Mr. David Ginsburg. How are you, sir?
Hey. Doing great. Glad to be back. I missed last week, but glad to be back this week. There was a few things to talk about. This Apple event.
Maybe, it's kind of stuff to talk about. And we also have Mr. Warren Sklar. Hello there, the Sklarster. And we can't find you. Where are you?
Motley's.
Hey, Warren's there. I can't see him.
I'm in Motleyville. I'm in Motleyville.
Motleyville. What is the population of Motleyville? 3 right now. He's all by himself. He wants to be all by himself anymore.
We got the boxes with the Brady Bunch and everything. Here's a story. And then we can go.
Yep, there's a very Brady renovation on TV right now. So.
Oh my God! Yes, I've seen the.
I've been watching it.
Really? Is it any good, or is it just camp?
It's fun.
No, it's good.
It's fun.
It's camp. It's cute.
It's only gonna be like 5. It's only 5 episodes.
Well, it's not like the people that are left that are still alive from that show had a whole lot else to do. And the weird thing is, now they've done a bunch of like reunion movies and stuff, but they had to replace some of the cast because I guess they just didn't want to do it. So it didn't make any sense because they've had other actors play, and it's, for some weird reason, it's always the girls. So there's been other actresses playing Jan and other actresses playing Cindy. Yeah. Well,
Cindy's been around the block, yeah, for sure.
Well, haven't we all?
In her eyes, she's,
haven't we all?
You can tell.
All right, let's go move on.
And anyone who's watching this, we're going to get off the Brady thing. Anyone who's watching this, if you'd like to make a comment, all you have to do. Unfortunately, we can't do it.
Just like that, we went from 8 viewers to 4.
I know. We can't do it from the Mac to the Future group page, at least not yet. So you'll have to go over to my page, Guy Searle, find it there, and then you can make comments. At least I think you can make comments. I'm going to try it. This is the weekly struggle to make comments. Making comments. There. See? You can do it from my page, I think. But we will see.
I still see fart from Warren, so.
Yeah. Well, just as long as you can see it and not like,
hear it or smell it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, hearing it wouldn't bother me. It's the other part. Okay, anyway.
Let's do this.
Marcus wants a full refund. Bang! Full refund it is. All right, first up, wanted to ask this of both of you. Now, the new iPhones, when we're going to get into all this stuff about that in just a bit. Is 5G really all that important for the new iPhones right now? And we'll start with... Tell you what, let's start with Warren. Warren?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I think they lost some sales by not having 5G in there.
Or will lose some sales since it's not
there
out
are
yet.
some people, right? They're going to lose some people. Some people are going to be like, you know what, 5G is coming, and I'm going to have this phone for maybe 3 years, 4 years, 3 or 4 years. I'll give
Right.
it to my son, and who knows?
At which point 5G might actually
you know,
have some coverage.
Yeah, and it might go down in price, and who knows? So, it's a bad move, I think. Is it going to be a huge deal in the next year or two? Probably not.
As far as
There's an
connectivity
article out
goes?
there saying that as far as resale and connectivity and all that, I mean, they did a few things. There's something that increases the LTE signal to make it faster. In there, I read something about. They also put in the new Wi-Fi standard radio, which is AX 802.1 AX, which is in that phone too, which will give you, once you get a faster router, will give you really fast speeds at home.
Right.
But yeah, I think it's not going to stop me or other people, but I bet it's a few people won't be happy about that.
Okay. I just lost my whole train of thought. What about you, Dave? How do you feel about that whole thing? While I try to gather my thoughts.
I mean, 5G is a little ways away yet. I just don't see it being that critically important. I mean, didn't see a lot of backlash from the press that the fact that these phones don't have 5G right now, but I think a lot of the other things that the iPhone we'll talk about in a minute here it's got that's going to overcome a lot of those things, and they're even saying that the LTE is faster in this new phone. There were some comments about that too. So to me, 5G is still a little ways away yet.
Well, do either you or Warren? Sorry, yes. Do either you? Wow, brain. Do either you or Warren know of any areas that actually have 5G in the States yet?
There was a couple.
There's a few.
Not many.
New York might be. Yeah,
Chicago may have it too.
There's like
in just certain areas of the cities.
Right.
Okay. And has there been any timetable on a rollout for it, or just we'll get there when we get there?
So I went a couple months ago. I switched from Verizon to T-Mobile, and but before I did, I talked to Verizon about a few things, and I said, "Listen, I'm planning on switching because my LTE signal's terrible. It used to be great. It's not so good anymore." So he gave me a little bit of background. He said, we're redoing the network now for 5G, so. That's why you're experiencing a lot of this issue.
Yeah, well, I'm actually experiencing a lot of downtime with T-Mobile as well in my area.
Yeah, I mean, T-Mobile's been better, but in my area now where I live, it's bad. It used to be good here. It's not so good anymore. But he said Verizon should be getting LTE by the end of next year. It should be almost completed in the U.S. according to him. So pricing is going to be a problem too, because when LTE first came out, it was in the U.S. at least was stupidly expensive, so it's going to stop people from doing that. I'll have to convince my wife to go to but it's faster. I don't care. I'm not paying double for that. But it's faster. Who cares?
Well, are they actually going to make people pay extra for 5G connectivity? That seems kind of a self-defeating prophecy right there. Why would they do that?
Of course they will. Because it's the newest technology and it's still optional, and they like money. So they did it with LTE, and they'll do it again. Trust me.
I think that's a mistake.
Well, it'll come down. It's with time. In time, they'll come down, just like everything else does. But when something first comes out, it's going to be expensive. What we could do with the phones is Verizon, T-Mobile, Sprint's kind of also sell hotspots. That's going to be a thing. So you could
That's
buy a little,
been huge.
a little device that's a hotspot. It's going to be a certain amount per month, and you take that with you, and you could connect your phone to it at like a Wi-Fi hotspot, and it'll be 5G speeds outside.
Okay. Next up, Elizabeth Warren and the EU are not happy with Apple's power in the App Store. Do either one of you have a comment on that? I mean, does Apple wield too much power, especially when it concerns their own applications and services as compared to what's available from other companies? Like, let's start with David talking about Spotify.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's going to vary in every app store that there is out there. I mean, but I just don't see it being a huge deal. I don't know why they have to make such a big deal out of this. But you say Spotify, you're talking about Spotify with the way they control music, or what did you mean by that?
Well, just by how they where the hell's my cursor? Oh, there it is, right in my mouth. By the way that they they're complaining about Apple's 15% or I'm sorry, what is Apple's percentage in regards to subscription services right now? Because it seems to vary.
1 million %.
1 million %. I think that the fact that Apple has competing services with some of these other companies is giving lawmakers in the EU some pause, and I can kind of see it. But here's the thing, and this has been pointed out a couple times. Apple themselves have said this, is that Spotify didn't seem to have a problem with that percentage and giving money back to Apple, even with Apple Music still being there, as they were building up their service there through through iOS users there in the App Store. And that it wasn't until they started making some significant money that they seemed to complain about it. So it's almost like they kind of want their cake and eat it too. They want Apple to provide all of the various services that Apple provides as far as subscription services go, with credit card protection and security and the rest of that, but not give anything back to Apple for providing those services. Warren?
There's a couple of. I think there was another issue with the App Store. Maybe this is what they were talking about too, but listen to somebody talk about it. But if you go to the App Store and type in podcast or podcast player, Apple's podcast player comes up first in the list compared to other applications. So I think they were accused also of putting their product, their software, on the top of the list of app searches. And people didn't like that. The algorithm, algorithm. Algorithm, so they didn't like that.
He doesn't have
that's
any.
One thing I don't complain. No, and is he the one that doesn't know how to spell potato, or is that somebody else?
No, that was Dan Quayle.
Dan Quayle.
That was Dan Quayle. Al Gore is the guy who invented the internet, and it's cold outside. Anyhow, so they had a problem with that, and then they also had a problem with what you were saying with the percentage they're taking out.
Right.
So it's their app store, and they're going to do this kind of stuff, and I don't know. All of a sudden, people don't like it, but the reason why they don't like it is because there's no alternative. That's why. Right. If there was like another app store that was allowed to go into iOS, Apple could probably get away with doing even worse than what they're doing now.
But they couldn't provide the security. They couldn't provide the security that they currently do with the App Store. I mean, it is a walled garden, but at the same time, that walled garden I think has prevented a lot of the problems that the Google Play Store has had over the years.
Oh yeah, and it's not even Google Play. Android devices could get
Yeah.
different app stores, not just Google. I mean, I've reviewed a couple things from China that doesn't even come with a Google Play Store. It comes with like some Chinese app store that's like half like has legit stuff and half is like horrible malware ridden pirated.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
stuff.
we talked about
but
it was a couple of weeks ago. We had a story about journalists going into I can't remember the name of the region in China where there's a lot of political unrest right now. And they were basically forced to turn their phones over along with their passwords so that the Chinese authorities there could put on an application that would monitor where they were, what sites they were going to, and what they were connecting to. And this, I mean, the fact that they were able to do this, and this wasn't even like they were going from some other country into this region. They were already in China, just going to this region to discuss a political situation there. I think that Apple needs to change the way that they do business in regards to the App Store, that the 30%, 15, I think it's 30% for the first year and 15% for the second year for subscription services, that needs to be looked at in such a way that, I mean, basically Apple should get some percentage that first year. And after that, it's like, okay, we're handing it off to whoever it is that's providing the service, and you deal with them directly. Don't call us if there's a problem with this application in regards to your phone. It's completely on whoever it is that's providing the service at that point. And sure, okay, so Spotify would get all the money, but at the same time, Apple is not providing credit card protection or anything along those lines. And I think there are a lot of people that might be reluctant to sign up for a paid subscription service without those kinds of protections.
Yeah.
All right, you guys ready to move away from Elizabeth Warren and the EU? I know I am.
I am.
Okay, listen.
Cannot wait.
Okay, let's go over to the main stories. Actually, one main story tonight, and of course, that was the big announcements on September 10th, and they started off with services. They talked about the first one they talked about was Apple Arcade. No big surprise. It was going to be set at $4.99 a month starting September 19th. What do you guys think about that?
I think it's a good price point. I mean, it's going to have family sharing, which is awesome. Up to six family members can have access to it. They're gonna give I believe a 1 month free trial where you can try it out. Games, and then the games look pretty decent. I mean, they were demonstrating that Frogger one on there as well. So that was an interesting game, from the 80s and 90s. So it's just all going to depend. I mean, I'm not a gamer, so I don't know how excited I'm going to get about it. I mean, I'll definitely do the free trial, but I may not stick around as a subscriber because of that reason. But I mean, I think they're gonna do well with this because there's a lot of people who love to play games, and they'll have a nice set catalog of games that'll be in this system. So,
okay, Warren.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, what he said. I play a few games on the iPhone, but personally, but nothing like crazy. A couple puzzle games, things like that. My son plays a couple things, but I don't think I have a 16-year-old and he doesn't seem excited about it. He has his catalog of games that he likes already. But it's going to, yeah, exactly. What the games are will dictate it. If we get the service and it doesn't have anything that we like, we'll get rid of it. If we find one, I think if you find one or two games that you like and would like to continue playing, it doesn't matter if there's 1, 2, or 100. You just need one or two that that is worth $5 a month for.
Yeah, you need a Fortnite-like kind of a phenomenon,
or something that you enjoy, or something. Yeah, or something that you enjoy personally. I mean, so like the goal, Apple's goal is not to get you to like 100 titles. Apple's goal is to get you to like at least one
Right.
to pay
That
for
will
it.
continue to pay $4.99 a month for. I was kind of surprised that there wasn't a lot of talk about controllers for some of the various devices. I mean, there's Bluetooth and Wi-Fi based controllers for both, actually all three of the major platforms from Sony and Nintendo and Microsoft. And, it doesn't seem like it would be that hard to provide support for at least one or two of those that people may already have to make the game playing experience a little bit better. So instead of trying to control it through a touch screen on your iPhone or through the truly horrendous game control system that you get on the Apple TV remote, because remember, these are games that are going to be on all of the various devices. And we're talking Apple TV, we're talking iPhone, iPad, and the Mac. So I don't believe that you can submit a game that won't work on all four of those at the same time. I don't think Apple will accept them. So, go ahead.
They said that there was going to be support for game controllers. So I don't know. I mean, was it Xbox or PlayStation 4 or I mean, I thought they were already going to support those devices.
Well, they need to. They need to.
I thought they already were. They are going to. I mean, if I remember correctly, they were demonstrating it during Worldwide Developers Conference. So.
Okay. Well,
the games they were showing seem very iOS-y, touch-centric type of games.
Well, they would almost have to be.
Yeah.
Well, unless you had a controller, and if you had a controller and had a way to touch-centric means you could really only do one or two things at a time with the character or whatever you're doing. You got two fingers, you maybe could do something like that. If you have a controller, you could do multiple things at one time, and they weren't showing that off. They're showing Frogger type things where you're just jumping across things, or even like kind of like like a soft joystick. Is that what they call it? Like the thing where you have your fingers.
It's got like a little gummy thing that you put on the screen. Yeah. Okay, let's move on to the next one.
Kind of doing that.
Apple TV Plus. I think the huge surprise here was the price of $4.99. Do you think that maybe Disney's announcement that their service, which included, everything that's not everything, but quite a bit of what's already in the Disney catalog, for $6.99 a month, possibly adjusted Apple's plans for what they wanted to price theirs at?
It's possible. I mean, I think also nothing was discussed. The fact that there was potentially maybe some bundling that could happen with Apple TV and with Disney.
They didn't do that though.
They didn't at first. Yeah. So you have about 12 new release shows that are going to be on the Apple TV Plus to start. They're charging $4.99 a month for it. It's going to be a 7-day free trial. But then they're also going to let anybody who buys a new device, which many of us are going to. I mean, I'll be buying a new iPhone very soon. I'll get a full year free of Apple TV Plus. So
yeah, and don't forget that also includes if you buy an Apple TV.
Buy an Apple TV, iPod Touch. You can buy iPhone, iPad, and a Mac. I mean, basically any device.
I wonder if I bought it if I bought an iPhone case, if they would give me a year's worth of service.
It's got
from Amazon. Then they just give me the service. Yeah. What do you think, Warren? Whoops, sorry.
4 days worth.
So just to finish off, I mean, there's a lot of new content shows, and Apple's obviously in this business to want to make money on shows. They're competing directly with Netflix and with Disney and with all these other content providers and Amazon Prime to have original content shows. So that's, I think, where everything is going to explode, is just if they can get a hit. One of these shows could just be a big hit. I mean, it's going to be a win-win for them for sure.
Warren?
Yeah, I mean, Disney, Netflix, and Amazon have something that Apple doesn't, which is a back catalog of stuff. They have, Disney just to even start out has all Marvel and Star Wars, which even if Disney didn't produce any new shows tons of people will sign up for that to get the access to that
Right.
stuff.
Yeah.
Amazon has movies, and Netflix has movies and shows that are already out there. So the $10 for Apple would have been a hard sell to sell, for 12
Yeah.
shows and nothing
Right.
else. So like, if you don't like the 12 shows, you're done. And you don't like, there's nothing else to go on to. The
But
price is good. Dave and I are T-Mobile also, and I think so are you. Is that
Yeah.
T-Mobile.
We get, yeah, so we're getting Netflix for free. I think I am
More or
with
less, you got
them.
to get.
So
I pay
you know,
$3 to have the HD.
yeah, the same with me. So they pay everything but $3 or something like that for the HD.
Right.
So I'll keep my Netflix, and then I'll do the trial. I'll probably buy something too, I'm sure, eventually.
Oh, I know. No, I
That
know.
doesn't
I'm
fit.
already getting an iPhone, so I'll be set for a year. So
Damon wants to know if you get a
Yeah.
year free with the 2019 Mac Pro, but only if you get the XDR display with the stand. So sure, everyone, if you go ahead and spend about $10,000 on Apple gear, they will give you free about $60 worth of Apple TV service. What more could you ask for?
in a year,
When I told my wife, she said the same thing. I said, Brenda, if we buy a device, we could get a year's worth of Apple, and that was right after I told her that it was $4 a month or $5 a month. She's
Yeah.
like, wow.
Yeah.
$60 if you
Yeah,
buy it, you get $60.
Yeah, I think a lot of people saw the math there. All right, let's move on to some of the hardware.
yep.
Let's start off with the new entry level iPad. They bumped it up as far as the size goes from 9.7 to 10.2 inches, and reduced the price, which was kind of a surprise. The part that also surprised me, but not in a good way, was that they're still on the A10 processor for it, and storage tops out at 120 gigs. And they're still using the Lightning port. They're not using USB 3 or USB-C. I was kind of surprised that they're not moving most of their stuff to USB-C now. Warren, what do you think?
I mean, okay, go ahead.
Oh, okay. That's definitely not going to be USB-C. This is their entry level Touch ID non-Retina deal. The new size was nice. How I feel about it, it's not for me. I wouldn't get anything like that, and I was pretty super happy that it wasn't a new iPad Pro because I just bought.
Yeah.
I was worried I was gonna have to return it.
Yeah, it's not like you bought the first gen iPad Pro with 128 gigabytes of RAM, and then 6 months later they release one with 256 at the same price. It's not like that at all.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody who did that.
No, I got an 11-inch iPad Pro, 128 gigs of storage for $625.
Wasn't it that
a good
weird deal that you ran across in Best Buy?
It
Or
a
was that
mistake.
just a good
Best
deal?
Buy
Yeah.
put it on mistake. No, it was actually error. They had it $200 cheaper on error, and they fixed it, but I already got it.
But it was too late. It was
Yeah,
too
I'm
late.
happy.
What do you think about the new iPad,
Too late, I
Dave?
got
Yeah. So
for $256.
I think what Apple's motivation of this was, I think what Apple's motivation with this was they see how the entry level market has been just phenomenal. 60% of new iPad buyers that they quoted had bought this brand new this first iPad out of any of them that are out there. And then of course you want to keep the cost down, so you have to by not putting in the lower end processor. I think it's still a pretty good, decent device considering for an iPad. The Lightning connector, I'm not surprised about at all. I mean, Touch ID, you got that too. I mean, they're keeping if you look at the way the line is right now, you have the iPad Mini, you have the iPad, and you have the iPad Air. those are all the Lightning connectors with Touch ID. And then you go up to the Pros. You got the 2 Pro models, and so they, as we're seeing when we'll talk about iPhone in a minute. You see how what they did was they did Pro on the iPhone too, which was new. So I really think that the iPad, I think it was smart when it comes to this, because they're going to sell a ton of them already as it is. I mean, they're pricing it out for the education market for $299. So a lot of these schools are going to jump on that now. I mean, they already had that price, but now the screen's bigger. It's going to be a much nicer display. And
it's got the smart connector. So
that's right. They have a smart connector.
If they don't want to deal with, because I mean, right now schools are having to deal with Bluetooth finding keyboards, ways to keep all of these iPads powered, and if you add in Bluetooth keyboards that also require their own power, that's another device. Whereas if it's a smart keyboard, and not necessarily Apple's because theirs is outrageously expensive, then that's one less thing they have to worry about.
So I mean, it's a win-win for many people.
A Chromebook competitor.
Sorry, Warren?
Yeah, that's a good thing. Go ahead, sir.
It's a Chromebook. It's competing for Chromebook for the schools. Apple is trying to get these iPads in schools instead of
back
Chromebooks.
in schools.
And all these 8-year-olds, they want to watch the morning show with Jennifer Aniston, so they'll be able to do that with this iPad. They'll
Jason
come in the
Momoa
morning to the water cooler and drink their coffee.
Yeah,
they'll drink their coffee and say, "Can you believe Jennifer Aniston and Reese Witherspoon were fighting on that show last night that we don't understand a word they're saying, but it's cool."
And then all their friends go, "Who's Reese Witherspoon? Who's Jennifer Aniston?"
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They just had the 25th anniversary of Friends or something like that. It was kind of like, wow, that was 25 years ago. Wow, how old am I?
Yeah.
Same here.
Pretty old. Pretty effing old. Okay, let's move on to the Apple. Now, I'm actually, before we get off the iPad, are either one of you interested in the iPad, the new iPad at all?
No, we both have Pros, and I'm happy with my Pro.
Yeah, I'm still on the first gen Pro, and yeah, I was kind of like, I have a faster one that's 3 years old, so why would I, or 2 years old, why would I jump to this one with a smaller screen? All right, Apple Watch Series 5, $399, $499 starting price, available September 20th. Now, there's some interesting things that came out with this watch. There's quite a wide variety of different materials that Apple's now using for it, and they have an all new screen with something, what are they calling that, LTPO, that stays on all the time but dimmed and just kind of lights up when you do your regular Apple Watch stuff.
It's got
It's always on display.
Yeah. So
variable nits is what they say. I don't think
variable nits. That kind of like, it sounds like something you'd have like in the swamp. Okay. What happened to your arm? Oh man, variable nits. Couldn't. I'll be itching all night, man. Get out the cream. All right. Now there's like a titanium one, and besides the aluminum. And I think there's a few others there. 100% made from recycled material, so yay. Some ceramic ones. So there's, now one thing that they haven't done, which was a huge mistake when the watch first came out, was come out with one that's like solid gold. That, I remember when that one came out, I was kind of like, wow, really? Why? Uh-oh.
Sorry.
It's spam, Dave.
It is, actually.
Yeah, see? I told you. That's almost every call I get now.
Muted now.
Yeah, I don't like spam. I don't like spam. Spam, 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 spam. Lovely spam, wonderful spam. All right. So we were talking about
Apple Watch.
Apple. It has a compass. And it has new bands. I'm still on the Series 3. I don't know what you guys have.
4.
What do you got, Dave?
4.
You're both on the 4. And is there anything about the new Apple Watch, Dave, that makes you want to run out and grab one?
My my recommendations have been to people, and giving my advice is this version is basically version 4.5 as opposed to Series 5. I mean, there's those subtle differences that they added. I don't think it's going to be a huge difference if you already have the 4. So no, I don't think I'll be running out and buying it right away. I do think the coolest thing they did do with the watch now is they have the Apple Watch Studio on the web where you can actually customize the watch you want and choose what band you want. Finally, because that was what the biggest complaint was. I mean, you'd be stuck buying these watches. Well, the one with the white band is available, the one with the black band is available, but then I don't want that. I want to have I want the Velcro band. So I'm really thrilled to see that they're letting you change the faces, change the type of watch you want and the type of band you want, and then customize it and then order it. So that was probably one of the biggest things I think is great when buying it. If you have a Series 3, yeah, I mean you probably can get away with not waiting. I foresee it. They're going to still sell the Series 3, as we saw the pricing is at $199 for that model. But if you're anything below that,
that's the low. Yeah. I think if you're on a Series 1 or Series 2, it's time to probably go ahead and jump up to at least a 3 for $199.
Right.
I'm currently still on a 3, and for everything that I use it for, it's fine. I have no great desire to rush out and get a 5. I don't have one that has a cellular connection, and considering the kind of phone calls that I typically get on my phone during the day at work, I don't see any reason why I want my watch to do the same. Now, Warren, you said you were on a 4?
Let me tell you a brief history of me with Apple Watches.
It's my harmonica.
It's a long story. So, anyways, I've had this.
So many years ago.
So many years ago, when a 0 came out, 0. So, yeah, I've had every one. I've had the 0, the 1, 2, 3, and not a 4. And the 4, the one I have now, is the first one I've gotten in aluminum, because I realized that every time I get a stainless steel one, I love it, but I replace them every year because the technology changes, and the resale doesn't change. It doesn't help resell that much, because you're still buying an old one now. So I like the aluminum in some ways, but I'm not fully happy with the aluminum, because I think the screen actually scratches a little bit more than it should. But it's nice, and I got the watch band now. I got a whole bunch of them, but this is the expensive one that costs more than the Series 5 watch itself. So
it's not the Hermes, is it?
No, it's the link bracelet. The black one is $400.
I just got because I've got like these. For people who have never met me, I am a very large individual, and I have huge hands. I have really, really large wrists, and almost all of the regular size wristbands that Apple sells, it just does not fit me. I mean, it won't even make it all the way around my wrist. So I've got this one now. It's like really, really super long. Yeah, we have to get big gloves. So this is how long. This is how long the wristband is on my Apple Watch. It's like really, really long. So it has to almost kind of double back onto itself for me to be able to wear it.
So back to what I was saying, though, if I do get a Series 5, it would be solely, I think, for a material change, but in that way, I'm still
and Apple TV,
anything other than aluminum.
Apple TV for a year, Apple TV Plus. Get it free.
Yeah, that's true. I get the $60 value.
Exactly.
So if I get the ceramic one, which is one I really want, the ceramic one's about $1,400, and that's what I want. So $1,400 watch that I'm going to sell next year, but all the morning show that I could watch.
Yeah. So it's like a break even. Totally
I'm
break even.
disappointed with it, and I'm disappointed with the trade-in value of the Series 4, because last year when I traded in the Series 3, I think I got something like $275 for it. So now I just looked on their page. It's like $110 for a Series 4. Really, I could probably turn around and sell it for make more money than that.
That's it? That's all they're giving you for it?
Yeah, I'm getting
for trade-in now. Yeah,
100 something.
But they gave me a lot for the trade-in last when I traded in my Series 3. So for the Series 4.
Well, I wonder what the Series 3 is. They'll probably laugh at you if you walk in the store with the 3. So you have to pay us. You have to pay us to recycle that. That's how that works now.
I would laugh at you.
Well, people laugh at me anyway.
With the 3 and a 4 thing. The good
They
point
said
with
the Series 3 you get up to $70.
Ooh. Yeah. $70 whole dollars.
The big difference with the 3 and the 4. Let's stick.
Cellular, isn't it? Isn't it cellular?
Size between the 3 and the 4, they went from the 42 to the 44. So it's a bigger watch. And now and there's no size difference now between this and the 5, which is even less of a reason for me to want to.
Yes, but does size really matter?
Only if you're
for the Apple Watch, it does.
Okay. It was just a joke. It was just a joke. Let's not go there. Let's not go there.
I went to the Apple Watch size, 44 millimeter.
Yeah, I do too. 44.
Okay. We're going to move on to the main event. Main event: iPhone 11, $699, $849 pre-order. September 13th. So in this coming Friday, you can pre-order the iPhone 11 or the iPhone 11 Pro for that matter. When they first started showing the iPhone 11, for the most part, I was pretty impressed. It has the new processor. I think Apple spent way too much time talking about the manufacturing process for the iPhone. That's the kind of stuff that you want for the WWDC. But when you have a bunch of people that are sitting there going, okay, you know what, we really don't care about the details, to this degree of the processor and all the rest of that. Just tell us what it can do. Show us what it does. Yeah. And I think they lost a lot of their audience right there. I know I was sitting there kind of just going, come on, I'm at work. I don't have a lot of time to watch this. You have to kind of let's step up the game a bit here. And they really didn't. But the phone itself, I think, is a really, really solid phone. I think if you're on a 6 or a 7 or even really an 8, the iPhone 11 is a solid jump as far as the phone goes. I'm on an 8 Plus that's working great. I don't know if I want to go ahead and turn mine in and get a new one now. If I was, I don't think I would mind an iPhone 11. I don't think I really need the power of an iPhone 11 Pro. But it is a nice looking phone. What do you guys think?
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I think the iPhone 11 is a bargain. It's a good deal. It's got good cameras. It's going to be a lot faster. I pretty much have told everybody I'm pretty solid to the fact that if you have an iPhone 8, I think you're still going to be pretty happy with it, and unless you're having a lot of problems with it, I that's where I've been steering people.
Or the battery's starting to to die or something along those lines.
Yeah, and you can get the battery replaced for $89 or whatever it is, $100. So. And Apple's still selling the iPhone 8 and the 8 Plus, so I mean it's not a terribly bad price.
That's going to be the new low end phone, right?
Right. So $449 and the $549 model, and you'll get up to $128. I think was the size.
And that's that's a hell of a deal.
Yeah,
because the 8 is a good phone.
Yeah, it is a very good phone. I mean, they also have the 10R. It is 3 years old. But the thing is, it's also the only Touch ID one left because people are still a little. I was doing my iPhone special interest group yesterday, and people are still giving me questions like, "Is Face ID safe? Do you really like Face ID?" I mean, I told people, "Yeah, Face ID is fine. There's no issues with it. You just have to get used to it. I mean, it's not like it's any different than anything else." But I mean, as far as value goes, I think they even kept the 10R in the line too, so that's actually not a bad price either. So, so you got a lot of choices that are out there. But I told people if you're on the 7 or lower, I mean, there's no reason why you should be sitting on those phones at this point. You know, look at least the 11.
Yeah.
It's so funny that the old people are like with the Touch ID, like
No, I know.
people are like so they were so comfortable with the Touch ID, and the Face ID is like this whole foreign thing to them. It's like back in my day, I was pushing my thumb to my phone.
I had to actually push a button. What is all this? What is this magic?
I used to flip my phone.
It went like this, and then I'd push buttons, and I'd talk to my grandson. What's wrong with people these days? Now it's all the Insta Facebook stuff.
And then the other
get off my lawn.
Get off my lawn. The other interesting thing I found was if you compare the three, the 11 Pro, 11 Pro Max, and the 11 and the 11. The 11 Pro has got a smaller screen. It's only 5.8-inch screen versus the 11, which has a 6.1-inch screen. But you've got a Super Retina XDR display on the 11, so that in itself makes it up as far as the resolution goes.
Oh, you mean the 11 Pro?
The 11 Pro has a Super Retina XDR. So that makes up for it. So, and you're also spending
back
$300
away
more.
from the microphone. You're blowing us out.
Sorry about that.
That's
you had me turned up before, so I told you. I
know. No. You're good. You're good.
So yeah, it's
sounds good to me.
You lost my train of thought now.
Sorry.
That's okay. So yeah, I think that's where people are going to look at is the price. I mean, when you're starting at $699 on the iPhone 11, that is a steal. I mean, I think. Why would you even consider getting the iPhone 8 when $100 more or $150 more, you're getting a brand new brand new phone that's got a much better camera. It's got a liquid retina display. I mean, and it's
very fast processor, better graphics. Much better camera. I think that
100%.
The iPhone 11, I think next year, when or as each quarter goes on and Apple talks about sales, I think the iPhone 11 far and away is going to be the breakout hit between the 8, the 11, and the 11 Pro. I think that's the one they're going to end up selling the most.
Just like last year, the 10R was the hot phone. So, and they're still selling that one. So, but all three of these phones in the 11 series have the same exact bionic chip, the A13 bionic chip.
Yeah.
So I mean, there is really no difference in processing in that sense. But there are a lot of differences, obviously, with video and camera and all that stuff. So.
All right. Well, what do you guys think of the iPhone 11 Pro? Is there anything there that interests you other than that? I'm sorry. I would like to think of myself as not being someone who is swayed by marketing, but that kind of dark green color on the iPhone 11 Pro, that is a great color.
That's the one I'm getting.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm envious of a color. I'm envious of a color. What is wrong with me?
I got so sad that I put my green keys back on my old one because I'm like, I could try to make it look a little bit like the new one.
It'll kind of look like that.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think that's cool with the colors. They really added that. The other thing they were advertising a lot was huge was the battery life. 5 hours more battery time on the 11 Pro Max versus the
10X Max.
Yeah, 10S Max, and same thing with the 10S. It was like 4 hours. So battery life is obviously improved.
The camera looks pretty amazing. In this phone.
If you saw the Filmic app where it does
film, I was going to bring that up. Filmic is actually the app that I use for Guy's Daily Drive, but that's on. And that's on this right here. That's on a iPod Touch, so it doesn't have all of the cool, gigaws that.
Yeah, being able to get all three lenses working at the same time. with that.
Well, let me see how many lenses are on this one. One. There's one lens on this device. One lens.
Yeah, the pros have the super wide angle, the wide angle, and then it's got the telephoto. So
right. All right, Warren.
Yeah, the camera's the selling point of the Pro. So that's
I agree.
That's why. I mean, that's the feature of it. It's a camera. Excuse me.
Well, that's the same almost every year, though, isn't it?
No, every year. I mean, there's other features that compete with that. Such as the speed and the Face ID and the screen. But this year, nothing really changed that much with that. So the camera is what they're selling, and I have to think the Pro label. They're trying to label photographers and videographers as pros that use the phone as their tool. And I'm just trying to think, like, if you're a photographer, if you're like a professional photographer, are you bringing your iPhone 10 Pro or 11 Pro with you, or are you bringing your Nikon mirrorless DLE with you? Or if you're a videographer, are you using your phone or are you using something else? So,
you're going to use the professional tools that give you the best results. That doesn't necessarily mean that the camera in the iPhone 11 is not as good as some of the other professional-ish, for lack of a better term, cameras that the pros would use. But I don't think, other than for Apple marketing, I don't think professional photographers would use a phone for like a paid event. I don't think, other than for marketing purposes, that videographers would use a phone to they may use it in the mix of everything else that they're doing. But I don't think that they would trust their final product to a camera phone.
And I don't either. No, I don't either, and that's why I question their term of pro at this point, because the pro has to, in the past, meant that you could do professional work on that device. That made it, you get paid for whatever you're doing. So MacBook Pro, iPad Pro, kind of could see it, right? But you start talking about an iPhone Pro, you're talking about things you could do on an iPhone professionally, right? That's exactly what you're saying. How can I make money using my iPhone? Is what you're saying, and the only thing you could really do is it's pictures and a camera and maybe audio recording, but there's better professional gear out there.
Sure.
That whereas
Steven Spielberg is going to use a 4 or 8K camera, and get the maximum amount of pixels that he possibly can with the greatest range that he possibly can when shooting Back to the Future 6 or whatever it is that he's getting ready to film.
But even non-Steven Spielbergs are going to use probably better equipment than an iPhone, like amateurish people. I mean, sure, you'll get like a lot of like Derek said, a lot of vloggers, a lot of people who do short videos. It's great for viral
or film podcasts in their car. Those crazy people.
Yeah. Crazy people who do that too, but anyways, so I mean, it's like, what's next? The Apple Watch Pro, because I could tell time even faster than anybody else on my watch.
Siri, tell me what time it is in Hong Kong. Bing. I'm sorry, Dave. I can't do that now.
Charge my clients. Okay.
Put Heath Klondike bars on my grocery list. Bing, and then it just teleports right into your man cave. Actually, that I would buy one if it did that. Yeah, if I could go, Siri, I want Klondike bars, and Klondike bars just appeared in my room, it'd be like, you know what? I don't even ever have to leave my house again. I'm set. I'm right here now. I would ask Siri to give me a Klondike bar.
He had one today, so it's on his mind.
I did. It really is. And I'm telling you, there's 2 more upstairs. I want another one. So with that in mind, I think unless you guys have anything else, we're going to wrap it up.
Yeah, we have a great show.
Dave, what do you buy?
Today.
Yeah, are you going to buy anything?
Yeah, I'm getting the Pro 11 Max.
Warren?
I'll be trading in.
What are you getting, Warren?
I've told my wife that I'm not. I told my wife I'm not doing it, so I have to.
Yeah, whatever.
I have to.
I'll be watching the Mac of the Future group. And
and then you sneak in an iPad Pro while she's at work.
Well, she doesn't realize that, but she'll notice the extra camera. That's the problem. I'm gonna have to cover up the extra camera.
It's gonna be pretty hard to hide that camera.
Yeah, that would be difficult.
Stickers. Maybe you could put your old cases, your 11 cases on it, or your 10 cases on it. And, it will just cover, and then you take the pictures, and it's only half the screen comes up. It's I don't know what's wrong, honey. It works.
Well, actually, talking about the camera, and we'll get off this real quick because we're already running kind of long. The one thing that I thought was really cool about the camera, and also a little bit disturbing, is that it says, well, it takes 4 pictures before you ever hit the button, then it takes the picture, and then 4 right after, which is okay, that's fine. Does that mean it is continuously taking pictures when you're in camera mode and you're just kind of having it in your hand? Is it constantly taking those 4 shots and then dumping the 4 that it had before, just in case you might accidentally hit that button?
It doesn't now. If you take a live photo with your iPhone 8.
Slow fees, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Slow fees.
Nice.
If you do that now with your iPhone 8, it does the same thing with a live photo.
All right. We're gonna get out of here. Dave.
On that note.
Yeah. Dave, if people wanted to get a hold of you, how would they do it? And why would they?
Well, I would hope they want to listen to In Touch with iOS, my podcast, intouchwithios.com. Working to record an episode here to talk about all this stuff we just talked about and my insights. And some people don't see this, so why not? Got to talk about it because it's been a great topic. And then I also do a horse racing podcast, Off the Charts HorseRacing.com, and you can also find me on Twitter at DaveG65.
Warren. Oh, sorry.
I don't do a dog racing. What?
What?
I don't do
racing. What? Huh?
What? Yeah, I don't do horse racing. I guess is what
okay. Okay.
But I should.
Never expected you.
Yeah, I'm around.
I want a horse that I can just kind of put one of those pygmy horses. I can put it on my back and run around. I don't know why. I don't even know why that came into my head, but it did.
That would probably hurt them.
It would, because they bite. They bite really hard. If you would like to see more of the stuff that I do, I also do the MyMac.com podcast and Guys Daily Drive. There was a new episode just came out today that I recorded yesterday, and I would like to say thank you to everyone who takes the time to go on over to iTunes and subscribe to Guys Daily Drive, because not only will you get the audio version of Guys Daily Drive, you will also get the audio version of this podcast right here, which of course is Mac to the Future, because I also put that into the same feed as Guys Daily Drive. If you would like to help support all of the crazy stuff that I do, I have a Patreon page, patreon.com/MacParrot. I have a coffee page, ko-fi/MacParrot, and the brand new way to find a way to send me money, if that's what you want to do, is through PayPal. PayPal.me. PayPal.me.
Wow.
PayPal.me/MacParrot. And I am on the Twitters. You can find me twitter.com/MacParrot. And Twitter, getting to be a tired parrot. Twitter.com/Warren VertShark. You can find all of the stuff that I do over there. On VertShark, I have the audio and video versions of all the various podcasts that I do. Other than the MyMac.com podcast, you can just find that all by its lonesome over there at MyMac.com. So, thank you, Warren. Thank you, David, for both being here tonight, so that we could discuss all of the new stuff from Apple. I'm not actually planning on buying anything. So, but of course, there's always I go into the store to get a cable, and I come out with an iPad Pro. Yeah. I would actually like a new iPad. I don't know why. Not the iPad, but I mean a new iPad Pro. They are. I want one so bad. Well, I have the first gen. I have the first gen iPad Pro, and it's still working like a champ. And I think that's the A12. I think that had the A12 Bionic or whatever they call it, that chip in it. So I'm pretty happy with that. But on that note, instead of going off into a completely new topic, we are going to sign off. Thank you to everyone who has joined us in the live stream this evening. I know we actually had more people on the test run of the Mac to the Future show earlier tonight than we did for the actual show. But that's okay. It doesn't matter. We're always happy to have any and all of you joining us right here on the Mac to the Future Go livecast. And so on that note, I think we are going to kick it out. So thanks again to everyone. Thanks, Warren. Thanks, David. And please say goodnight.
Good night.
Warren?
Fine. Good night.
Yeah, I know. Pressure. Social pressure. Good night, everybody.
See you, nurse.